What if Earth is like one of those uncontacted tribes in South America, like the whole galaxy knows we're here, but they've agreed not to contact us until we figure it out for ourselves. And crop circles are just teenager aliens doing graffiti. I really love the idea of irresponsible teenager aliens. Maybe we are the irresponsible teenage aliens, and when we die, you'll look down and see some weird bong-like device between your knees, then look up, surrounded by your alien homies. They're all smiling at you and one asks, how was the trip, bro? Did you conquer civilizations? And you tell them, nah, I just worked a 9 to 5, got married and had kids. Then they all laugh and think you're a loser. What if aliens showed up here millions of years ago, saw a planet inhabited by enormous lizard monsters, and said that, don't come back to this place? What if the Fermi paradox exists because we are the first intelligent life in the universe? Yes, that is so incredibly improbable, but what if we take it another step further? What if there is something that can force a grip via advanced technology, and we constantly live in a cyclic universe? Every time an intelligent species reaches a certain level of technology, they accidentally reset the universe. What if there is something that can force a grip via advanced technology, and we constantly live in a cyclic universe? Every time an intelligent species reaches a certain level of technology, they accidentally reset the universe. Maybe the invention of the time machine will cause us to reset the universe. They probably treat us like animals on National Geographic. There is a great line in the movie Contact, based on the book by Carl Sagan, where Ellie debates against the notion that aliens are always hostile. She says we pose no threat to them. It would be like us going out of our way to destroy a few microbes in an anthill in Africa. And then someone else replies, interesting analogy. How guilty would we feel if we went and destroyed a few microbes in an anthill in Africa? There's a whole book series with kind of an opposite view. It has the premise that humans are the most vicious and dangerous species in the universe, the Damned Trilogy by Alan Dean Foster, and aliens try to use us for their own wars. Oh wow. I have to check that out. I spent quite some time reading stuff on r/hfy, but there was too much subpar stuff to wade through in the hopes that someone did something interesting with the premise. That's actually one of many theories about CT and alien life. That they're so far ahead of us on the Kardashev scale that for them to try to communicate with us would be like us trying to communicate with ants. Or amoebas. I like the evolutionary trajectory theory version of this. The comparison doesn't even need to be as jarring as humans and ants. It can be as simple as humans and apes. That 2% difference is what makes the difference between our two species. Now imagine another 2% in the same trajectory away from us, humans. I also like the notion that our common depiction of aliens is thin hairless bipedal creatures with big heads and technology we can't even fathom creating. Same way apes perceive humans. I think it's appealing to think this is reality, that there is something higher. Because if it turned out we were the only planet with life, and humans were leading the pack, that would be something nobody wants to be true. Reddit has this weird double standard where practically nobody advocates for the idea of humans being it, but everyone acts like it's the thing people believe by default. If you drop God and aliens out of the equation, nobody wants to solve it, and definitely nobody wants to believe the conclusion. We are so disappointed in ourselves that we don't want to be in first place. This is a very common and well-known theory. It's also called the Prime Directive in the Star Trek universe. Also Mass Effect followed similar logic. The Council would not implement other planets until they become a higher function, not still fighting each other etc. Once they have the means to find their interstellar transportation methods, then they can join the Citadel. It made me change my life purpose to hopefully one day seeing humanity unify enough that, if this is a thing, then we can be a part of it. Even if they wanted to, they couldn't come to the Sol system, though. Our mass relay was frozen inside Pluto. In fact, I don't think the Council even knew about humans until we booted up our relay. They became aware of humanity when the Turians caught humans trying to boot up another inactive relay. I believe the council only became aware when the Turians started gearing up for war after their defeat over Shanxi. A patrol fleet is much easier to hide than large-scale mobilization after all. I'll admit I do go fully mega nerd every time I see the First Contact War mentioned. What if we are actually a part of a very huge being, and to that huge being, it's like when we look at our own cells through a microscope and that's just one being, there could be millions of huge beings. I've always thought of this OD, and how atoms and solar systems etc kinda behave similarly. Obviously they are not the same, but the whole mostly empty space with a nucleus with stuff orbiting the nucleus etc is eerily similar. Plus solar systems are all far away from each other, much like atoms are all apart from each other. Yeah, kinda my point about the empty space thing. 99% of an atom is empty, 0.99% of the universe is empty. Definition: some correlations. Everyone assumes that there are these superior entities that can conduct out of this world actions. But if you see the evolution of life on this earth, over 3 billion years of trial and error until a species with the capacity to be self-aware about the universe starts to rise to dominance in the last 200,000 years. Only 10,000 since we've been having the amount of exponential progress we see today. For all we know, life out there could just be reptile-like creatures with no need to be highly intelligent to survive. Perhaps we are the beginning of the alien species. If we ever colonize the universe, humans will evolve differently from one another in a series of rapid, radiative ways. Perhaps we are the ancestors of intelligent life in our local galaxy. For all we know, life out there could just be reptile-like creatures with no need to be highly intelligent to survive. This is basically what I think. There's no particular reason why sapience and intelligence would evolve on any given life-bearing planet. It's just that it happened by chance once on Earth, that one species had a viable path forward for intelligence to be its primary survival trait. It's not like it's a guaranteed end result of the evolutionary process. There could even be lots of sapient life out there, but they all just aren't interested in developing advanced technology, or can't conceive of doing so, or something. We see this on Earth. Animals like chimpanzees, elephants, or dolphins probably aren't that much less intelligent or self-aware than us, but they don't have anything higher than the most basic level of technology, probably just because their brains aren't wired to do it. Chimpanzees especially, it's been observed that they don't have the capacity to actively teach other chimpanzees or pass on intergenerational knowledge the way that humans do. They're smarter than us when it comes to their ridiculously good short-term memory, though, so from the perspective of an alien who had equally good short-term memory, they might conclude that chimpanzees are more intelligent than humans. So the problem with finding intelligent life might have more to do with the fact that our search is very human-centric and is only looking for human-like technology rather than intelligent life itself. That's already a theory. Edit, because I'm getting messages and comments about this, I wasn't trying to belittle the guy or say this in a manner that implies I didn't want him to post this here. I just thought that maybe he didn't know this concept already existed, as I've done this with other ideas and would like to know. I think the more common version of this theory assumes they don't contact us because making contact makes themselves visible and other planets are smart enough to assume there are always bigger fish in the sea. Or they follow the prime directive. I think he means the dark forest theory answer for the Fermi paradox from the three-body problem books. Depends. If there was an advanced society, or many, and they had a hands-off policy with Earth, likely the only way they'd actually be able to enforce it would be if their governing bodies had total control over their spaceflight operations. Which is conceivable, to a point, but as soon as you introduce the possibility of private ownership of spacecraft, manned or otherwise, and operations, it truly only takes that one dude looking for space Reddit karma to f*** up. I thought that moment in The Expanse was on point. There's a giant space portal, and while the top scientists are debating what it is, some a-hole shoots a Facebook clip of himself just yallowing into it to impress his girlfriend. It's a very human thing to do. Hey, is The Expanse good? I've been hovering over it for a while now. It's one of the most scientifically accurate space shows I've seen, except for the proto-molecule stuff. Overall it's pretty good. The casting is atrocious though. I'm not saying the actors are bad, but they don't fit the roles at all. I've never seen a worse fit between the characters as written and people they got to fill those roles. They're all very beautiful and gloriously diverse, but several of them do not fit in their roles at all. What if we are first? Isn't there a new theory that we are one of the last, and that the peak for alien civilizations was 8 billion years ago closer to the galactic center? I hope that isn't true. That would mean the aliens killed themselves off, and I don't want humanity to just die off like that. Edit, that's 8 billion years from the Big Bang, not 8 billion years ago. What do you mean last? The universe is not even 20 billion years old. The sun has been around for roughly 1/3 to 1/4 of the entire duration of the universe. So far, we estimate that stellar creation will continue for several trillion more years. We are, by all accounts, in the infancy of this reality. Well put. I was wondering about that too. I mean, the studies by the JPL, and they usually know their stuff. Maybe they mean the average civilization world existed at 8 billion years. Picture a bell curve with a peak at 8 billion years, but that tapers out towards the distant future. Most of those tribes remain uncontacted, mostly because of concerns regarding introducing new diseases to them, and because of the lack of the means for proper communication. I doubt these kind of issues would exist when it would come to aliens. It could be similar for aliens. If they were to come here, maybe we would be exposed to something we can't handle. Or they just don't want any of our viruses or diseases. It is essentially impossible for diseases to spread from one planetary biosphere to another. Even diseases spreading between related species on Earth is an incredibly rare event. It absolutely happens, but it's hard to understand just how rarely diseases cross species barriers. Humans are exposed to thousands of diseases that have no ability to transfer to us all the time. An entirely different evolutionary tree, not even just a different branch, would have virtually no capabilities to spread any kind of disease to another. Alien life might not only not even have DNA, but might not even be chemically compatible with our own, so the likelihood of diseases spreading from them to us, or vice versa, is virtually zero. To the point where it should essentially not be a consideration whatsoever to any society. Then we probably will be contacted first by the extremist aliens who will give us the hard sell that their belief system is the best and that all we believe is a lie. And we will do something violent in response. etc., etc. Eventually we all end up enslaved or die of an illness our immune systems cannot handle. This is why I've been telling my congressman that we should be kidnapping kids, training them, injecting them with a ton of roids, and sticking them in power armor. It's the only hope we have to fight terrorism, and they'll come in handy when the aliens show up. The Spartans were made to fight other humans. So you should be explaining to Congress that we do all that then drop them in Afghanistan. He said only hope to fight terrorism, or whatever. He said exactly the right pretext. I think you may be misreading. I feel like they would though, as we have tried so many attempts to reach out to them. Depends on how far out from us they are. For a message to reach a planet light years away, it would take actual light years. And besides, humans are some of the most destructive creatures we know of. Do you honestly think aliens would contact us knowing full well our governments would be more likely to attack than seek coexistence? Why do people always assume aliens are less violent than us? At a certain point it makes sense that aliens could either be child-eating slavers who strip alien worlds for resources and then off, or they could be benevolent. Think about humans for a minute. Between a charity organization and an organization that values profit above all else, which one will last longer? Read the Three-Body Problem trilogy, then be glad they haven't contacted us yet. TLDR, anyone out there capable of understanding that we are here ought to be smart enough to know that we are also potentially dangerous to them, so they are better off killing us rather than contacting us. And vice versa, except no, we are humans, so let's just tell everyone, hey guys, here we are. The only issue I can foresee is that we expand infinitely. When the conditions were right, we went from a population of 1.6 billion to 6 billion in the span of 100 years. If we were to go multiplanetary, we could easily go from billions to hundreds of billions over just a couple generations. I don't know how much that matters though. There are hundreds of billions of planets and the vast majority are uninhabited. I can't imagine there's a competition for resources amongst intergalactic travelers. And if aliens can figure out FTL, I bet they can figure out automation with technology. So I don't see us as being enslaved, nor do I imagine we'd be pillaged for our resources. What's the motive for aliens to kill us off? All intelligent civilizations continuously grow and expand. The amount of matter in the universe remains constant. Resource scarcity has to eventually produce conflict if any civilizations intend to survive and grow in a finite universe where someone else is trying to beat you to the next habitable planetary system. One of the greatest flukes in evolution is when one cell ate another cell but didn't digest it. This allowed the one inside to focus entirely on creating energy, allowing the main cell to focus on other things. This gave life the ability to form multicellular organisms, inevitably creating complex fauna. So it's also a belief that, even if there are countless planets teeming with life right here in our own galaxy, none of them have advanced to complex organisms. Speaking of mitochondria, right? I've always been kind of intrigued by them. I mean, a completely different thing lives inside the cells of things, to be the power plant for said thing. Strange occurrence in nature to be sure. They'd be smart not to contact us. We ruin everything we touch. Edit. Guess I need to clarify the two statements I made are opinion. Then one alien civilization would reach out to a rival alien civilization and convince them to reach out to us. That's a big brain play right there. Man, it is fascinating the hate so many have to their own species. Oh sure, humans aren't perfect, but give me a secondary data point to compare it to before I cast a stone. From this tiny planet, nearly all life exists at the expense of other life. Humans are no exception. Could we do better? Yes. But I don't expect humans to act like anything more than just slightly clever apes that just barely figured out how to make fire. This actually makes a lot of sense to me. Maybe it goes even further. They don't wish to share space with other civilizations, so they manipulate the way we perceive the universe. Judging by the Fermi paradox, there should be many inhabited planets, but they have a way of cloaking their transmissions, so we don't see them. Maybe the speed of light isn't the hard limit we perceive it to be, but they are messing up our perception, making interstellar travel appear impossible or at least insanely difficult. In this way, we get demoralized and stay within our own planet, or within our own solar system at best. It could explain why we see anomalies in the way stars orbit the central point of their galaxy, necessitating the input of an unseen element like dark matter to explain this. It might also explain why experiments such as the double-slit quantum eraser experiment end up with such freakish results. It is safe to say any aliens that exist can only see us through a telescope kind of device. They can't visit us. A light year is no joke, and the rules of physics, chemistry and biology is going to be the same for anywhere else. The distance is just too much to make visiting a planet outside our system and phys for them to be worth the energy and time it would cost. Even if you built a rocket that travels through space at Mach 10, you still won't get past 0.001% of a light year. There are at least 4 light years between us and the next closest system. A light year is no joke. If one can bend space and time, traveling millions of light years is akin to stepping into your kitchen. That's NASA's future solution, FOFTL travel. If you can shrink the space in front of a spaceship and expand it behind you while traveling at near light speeds, you would effectively be traveling FTL according to an outside observer, but you yourself would not travel along the fabric of the universe FTL. Don't quote me on this though, I don't have 69 PhDs in space stuff, so I'd reck what exactly I'm talking at. Google it though, I found it interesting. This entirely depends on if faster than light travel is common. If light speed was the fastest one could go, then it'd take hundreds of years between contacts, maybe thousands of years. If getting up to close to light speed was impossible, it'd be tens of thousands of years. Is there any reason to believe faster than light travel is possible? As you reach the speed of light, the amount of energy needed to accelerate increases exponentially until you reach the speed of light, where the energy required to accelerate becomes infinite. So unless one can find infinite energy, it's impossible. The universe is massive x 1 trillion. The tribes in South America in the middle of the jungle is a massive place. They know of outsiders, to be fair. There is footage of them throwing spears at helicopters in the 80s, so they know someone else is out there. They just do not want you there. With that said, if anything was close to us in orbit, we could observe a signal, a light, or some sort of communication. What is more likely is that there are many civilizations out of our reach and sight that have evolved as well. Many that we will never know, most likely. What if there are other ways of communication we can't observe? Do you think they could have observed radio waves in 1700? They could do things 3000 years ago we could not reproduce now. They are not around to ask anymore. Your question is redundant, because there were not radio waves in the 1700s, so we will never know the answer to that question, to be fair. They also did not have satellites and rockets, and probes on other planets. I'm saying they could be observing us stealthily and communicate in a way that we can't observe because we lack the technology. We can't dismiss this possibility just because we don't see any radio waves or light. It's like that uncontacted tribe saying there isn't anyone there. We don't see any smoke signals. Any sufficiently technologically advanced alien civilizations would have moved beyond using the resources of their host planet, either because they've depleted their resources, or because it's more financially advantageous, energy efficient, to gather energy from their host star. And if they had the power to travel or communicate across light years to other stars, they would be at a point where the colossal energy collectors or swarms of energy collectors, space habitations, or ships would have made some kind of dent in the fraction of light, or the wavelengths, that pass through towards us. TLDR, we don't see stars dimming from the giant solar collectors of advanced species. It's pretty much a guarantee that there are aliens out there. The universe is vast beyond measure. Hell, even our little galaxy is incredibly vast, and it is highly likely there are aliens in our galaxy due to the laws of probability. Sadly, as faster than light speed travel is impossible, we'll never meet any. We'll never really get beyond our solar system, and if we ever do manage to make contact, it'll be some clumsy signal that takes at least thousands of years to reach anywhere else, and would have to be incredibly lucky to reach another civilization at a time of their development that they could receive it. I bet they aliens will contact us in the same century, when we stop destroying our own home, planet Earth, and come up with ways to conserve or repair the damage we have done to it just in a few centuries. Example, you see a person who is destroying a house with a car. A house you know to be their own house. And they are screaming, "It's my God-given right to destroy it." Would you go say hello? I'll nope out of there fast and let them be. Us humans are the worst thing that has happened to this planet and ourselves. We will be extinct or deformed, mutated soon. In the cosmic time sense, we already found plastic in human placenta. It's not far. I guess most people choose to ignore or live in denial with regards to the basic laws of physics. Most of what we can see in the universe is probably already dead and decaying, since the light from those stars takes millions, or even billions for the farthest reaches of the universe, of years to reach us. We are literally looking at times gone by. We need to understand that there are a huge number of accidents that had to happen for life to evolve on Earth as it has, and the probability of the same accidents occurring in a similarly hospitable planet in the same sequence are infinitesimally small, tending to zero. Put these two factors together, and even if intelligent life exists, it won't ever reach us. When they look through their telescopes, they'll see the version of Earth that exists depending on their distance from us. Nothing has and ever will defeat the laws of science. We are well and truly alone. This is the end of the video. Thank you guys for staying with me till the end. If you enjoyed watching this, you might as well watch these too.